For the project tracking, we tracked 1,500 projects across the country. Their value is about 610 billion naira in CPTI phase 7.
One of the things that we came across was, if you are going to win the fight against corruption, you have to make corruption a high risk and a low return venture.
Hello viewers, and welcome to Transparency Files, the ICPC's Public Enlightenment Program. I am your host, Hawa Sani Garba. December 17, 2023 marks a significant milestone in the Commission's history. Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu assumed office as the 5th chairman of the ICPC. Since taking up the mantle, the chairman has hit the ground running, demonstrating commendable dedication and results. The Commission's end-of-year engagement recently celebrated the chairman's first year in office. The event also honored staff members who retired in 2024 and recognized others for their exceptional contributions throughout the year. Today on the program, we will provide an overview of these well-attended ceremonies. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You are watching Transparency Files. During his welcome address, ICPC Chairman Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, SAN, highlighted the Commission's proactive efforts to embrace positive trends and strengthen its mandate, particularly through the digital empowerment of its workforce to effectively combat corruption. He also shared impressive achievements under his leadership. Take a listen.
The ICPC, under my stewardship, continue to adopt to evolving trend in fulfilling its mandate, including equipping its workforce with digital strategies to combat corruption. The current administration anti-corruption agenda and my own policy thrusts, which is encapsulated in the CARE acronym for impact, have fully motivated the Commission to enhance its tools, approaches, and engagements. I'm therefore bold and proud to reflect on the modest progress we have made and the challenges we have overcome so far. With a steadfast commitment to the rule of law, the ICPC has achieved significant milestones over the past year. We have made an effort and significant strides. We recovered cash 29.7 billion. There is 10.9 billion BATs which we recover, we remitted to NIPRS. There is 10 billion COVID-19 vaccine fund meant for production of vaccine, which we recovered and remitted to the Treasury. And also there are assets which we recovered. The value which we forfeited order we secured of about 2.5 billion naira. The foreign currency retrieved is about $900,000 now secure in ICPC CBN account. For the project tracking, we tracked 1,500 projects across the country. Their value is about 610 billion naira in CPTI phase 7. In the area of system study and review, as part of our commitment to institutionalize accountability, the Commission was able to assess 323 ministries, departments, and agencies through our ethics and integrity compliance scorecard. We also established 80 anti-corruption and transparency units across MDS to reinforce our anti-corruption efforts. While doing this, the Commission also stopped the diversion of public funds to the tune of 5.8 billion. Within this year, we were able to have an engagement with the 36 states of attorneys general, whereby we brainstorm on how we can have robust conversation in developing effective strategies that will enhance the Commission capacity in fight against corruption at the subnational level.
Welcome back. The ceremony featured numerous goodwill messages from stakeholders, partners, and friends of the Commission. Let's hear some of them.
As you celebrate this 1 year, and I found you very interesting, my first encounter with you when I resumed duty as the DG of Bureau of Public Procurement was to ask me, DG, at what point will you help me look at my procurement process? And at what point will you tell me to my face, I am not doing rightly or I'm doing rightly? That, for me, is a signal of what a chief executive should do. And that is the mark of your celebration. The fact that you sent out a signal that, DG, I would like you to help me evaluate my procurement process. Thumbs up to you.
Two messages for all of us crusaders in the house. Number one is the importance of collaboration in this work. No single agency can do it alone. We need to work together. We need to come together as a force. Because if you work in silos, we can't go anywhere. And that was what informed my disposition to working with all agencies in the area of regulatory, law enforcement, security. And we are not just saying it, we are demonstrating it. We have had occasions to work together in the area of asset recovery, in the area of conviction. Now it has become a public knowledge that if you have a case in ICPC, don't come to EFCC. It's been well established. If you have in the EFCC, don't come to ICPC. The moment we know that our sister agency is doing it, we have. And that's why it should be so that we don't dissipate resources and so that we can also be focused.
It is further encouraging to note that the ICPC has in the past 1 year also witnessed significant recoveries of illicit assets. I was happy to hear about this in your welcome remarks. Illicit assets and cash from a number of corruption suspects, and the Commission has secured 18 convictions. These achievements are unprecedented and a statement to the rest of the world that those who engage in corruption will face the consequences of their corrupt actions and will not be allowed to enjoy the ill-gotten wealth. The Anti-Corruption Commission of Zambia celebrates your accomplishments, Dr. Musa, and remain committed to fostering stronger partnership and cooperation in the exchange of best practices in the fight against corruption. Together, we can continue to push the boundaries of what defines our societies, anchored on integrity, fairness, and justice.
You are here celebrating your 1 year because you have the cooperation of your management and staffs. I've seen different petitions of other agencies dragging themselves to National Assembly, Senate, everywhere. So God bless you all. First of all, Mr. Chairman, I want to sincerely thank you. Your approach in running ICPC is an approach I really admire. It is made of awareness, interactive sections, and all. This is very, very good because to combat corruption, awareness is number one. You did something very fundamental. You had a meeting with MDs, CEOs of various agencies we had an executive section where we had a heart-to-heart talk with each other. We were able to talk freely because we were in executive section. We said the truth to each other. Mr. Chairman, this, I believe, will let everybody know their role to play.
To the Honorable Chairman, Dr. Musa Adamu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, your leadership has inspired hope, confidence in anti-corruption agenda. Your achievement over the past 1 year underscores the fact that with determination and integrity, much can be accomplished. May this milestone mark the beginning of even greater accomplishment for ICPC and Nigeria as a whole. As I conclude, I urge us to reflect on the progress made and the work ahead. We must also continue to support ICPC in its vital mission of fighting corruption in Nigeria. Together, we can strengthen our nation institutions, recover our stolen assets, secure a brighter future for Nigerians.
The function of the chairman of this kind of commission, like it goes for EFCC, Code of Conduct, and the other anti-corruption agencies, is that your fight is a lonely fight. It happens with you only. The burden is yours. If you're very lucky, you have staff and board members that would share your dream. But ultimately, you are held personally responsible. You'll be surprised that even your family members, you will discover new things about them when you become chairman of an anti-corruption agency. Because if they can't come directly to you, they will come through your family members to plead and to do all kinds of things. But for this particular chairman, internationally, he's blazed a lot of achievements which has made this place and Nigeria very, very proud.
I am a Nigerian, a highly cultured race. My culture abhors corruption, and with my integrity, a new Nigeria is possible. I say no to corruption today to build a future for my children. Join me and imbibe the culture of integrity to build a Nigeria of our dreams.
The keynote speaker, Dr. Francis Ben Kaifala, Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission of Sierra Leone, shared valuable insights on his country's anti-corruption journey. He elaborated on strategies that helped Sierra Leone improve its corruption perception index, ranking by Transparency International. Dr. Kaifala noted that the funds required by the United Nations to eradicate malaria in Africa and provide basic education for every child are far less than what Africa loses to corruption annually.
We in Sierra Leone, recognizing this, sought to build a system that adopts common sense approaches to dealing with corruption. We decided that it is not about law, it's not about politics, it's not about the general conversations we have, it's about saying we have this problem, how do we practically fix it going forward? Because in 2013, Sierra Leone was declared by Transparency International as the most corrupt country in the world in terms of bribery. One of the things that we came across was, if you are going to win the fight against corruption, you have to make corruption a high risk and a low return venture. You have to make corruption expensive. You have to make it risky for the citizens to make an economic decision whether they are interested in engaging in it. And you also have to make it a low return venture, in that they should not profit from their crime. They should not benefit from it at all. And a country that is not willing to introduce that formula, which requires those two things to go together, cannot defeat corruption, cannot fight corruption. By our laws, If we come after you, and this is what was happening, because our enforcement base became very strong, people were so afraid of even being accused of corruption. So we will go to a building, for example, and say, this building has been built by corrupt money, and somebody will say, I don't want problems with you, take the building. When you take the building, we will make sure that we go back to the money you stole and quantify it, and then impose interest on that money. A minimum of 10% interest, and by the gravity of your offense, it could be as high as 20 to 30%, depending on what we wish to do. And also, when we take the property from you, we then impose on you a ban from holding public office for a minimum of 3 years. It could be as high as 10, 15 years, depending on the gravity of what you have done. And all of this we were doing was going back to the formula to make corruption a high risk and a low return venture. In a very short time, Sierra Leone, which was considered the most corrupt country in the world, jumped 22 places upwards in the TI index. We came from 131 and we are now at 108 in 5 years.
A significant highlight of the day was a panel discussion led by Professor Abdulkarim Kana, SAN, from the Faculty of Law, Nasarawa State University. In opening the session on asset recovery, Professor Kana described corruption as a crime of opportunity and stressed that the digitalization of processes could significantly reduce corruption by restricting access to illicit funds. Take a listen.
Plea bargaining is actually a very potent tool in fight against corruption. Yes. Ordinarily, the appropriate thing is that you must recover the entire proceeds of crime. In fact, in situations where probably there is commingling, you have acquired some properties. I know of a case, for instance, that we are handling, that the person acquired a plot of land long before. Then by the time they started getting money from pension money, and then they used it to build the property, massive property on it. We got forfeiture in respect of the entire property. So it's not meant to be just a slap in the wrist because there is plea bargaining. In fact, if you look at that section 270 of ACJA that deals with plea bargaining, it says that even where the judge is of the view that the plea bargaining arrangement is not proper or there are issues with it, the courts can look at it and say, I don't agree with your punishment. And then you have to consider, but the only thing is that in that instance, the court cannot go ahead and impose a higher punishment.
In the days of old, we know that persons who got such money, the society is wary of approaching them. The society is wary of coming into contact with them. But that's no longer the case. Even when people have served prison terms for corruption, they still get back to their communities and still being celebrated. You see it on the dailies that parties are held to celebrate somebody who have finished jail term for corruption.
I took my time to make notes when the keynote address was being given. And I discovered that most of the things, the measures that they took to bring up themselves from the base to the top in Sierra Leone, they are all there in our law. But what we do mostly is talk the talk and not do the do. That has been our challenge. Because this issue of banning of public officers, it is there in the laws of Code of Conduct Bureau. You are banned from office for between 3 to 7 years. Whatever is proven to be ill-gotten is forfeited. But what is there is not being implemented.
We've said much about the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Act that was passed in 2022. The act itself, it's both civil and criminal. while it deals with criminal infractions, its provisions are essentially civil in nature, such that once a law enforcement agency, maybe a little bit unlike what they have in the Sierra Leone, the law enforcement agency has to still carry out their own investigation, probably do a net worth analysis of the suspect or the subject of investigation to be able to show by way of affidavit in court that this person is not or most likely cannot own these assets. And of course, the burden of proof is therefore shifted to the person who lays claim to the property to say, you come and prove to the court how you were able to acquire these assets, because the law enforcement agencies have discharged the constitutional burden of proof to show that these assets cannot, or at least suspected not to have been, the subject is not able to prove or own that asset.
To conclude the day's events, the Commission celebrated its retiring staff members and recognized those still in service who displayed exceptional dedication and performance in their duties. That's our program for today. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to join us every Friday at 6:30 p.m. on NTA Network and International. You can also watch previous editions on our YouTube page at ICPC Nigeria. See you same time next week. I am Hawasani Garba saying bye for now.